Happy Fursuit Friday again. Video 2. Well, 2. That's 4. That's 2. So, testing. I think we're good to go. Let's talk about another topic this week. What's big in the topic this week? Conventions are pretty big. Biggest Little Furcon living up to its name, eh? Wow, good job, guys. 3,600 attendees. That makes it the third largest convention in the world. And they've only been around for 4 years. 4 years. That monstrous growth is unprecedented completely within this fandom. 4 years and already the convention has 3,600 individuals attending it, which beat out Further Confusion by 100-ish. What was that one out there? But it beat out Furry Weekend Atlanta and it beat out Further Confusion. Both are around 3,400, 3,500 range. It's got a ways to go until it gets to the top two dogs, though. It's definitely the king of the West now. It's definitely the biggest it's the biggest on this side of the country. It's the biggest one out west now. That's crazy. That's crazy. Congratulations to everyone over there. But still got a ways to go until you catch the top two, which is like what, 5,600 is the next largest one, which is MFF, which is growing, and Anthrocon the largest at about 6,800-ish. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but that one's still growing. I wonder how much it can grow any further because the town's only so big, you know, Pittsburgh's only so big. So it's got a ways to go until it gets number 2, but hey, it got really far where it is right now. And oh man, well, the next thing too, which is kind of cool to think about. I have like a whole chart of numbers. I've got number crunching, nerd number crunching over here. I have some charts and stuff. I'm probably going to publish a thing on Flera this particular weekend about conventions and kind of the way they were going. I was planning on making this at the beginning of the year, but funny story, as soon as I was about to, then the whole thing with FA occurred where they didn't pay that dude, and then I had to write that article because it was more timely, and then it was like, and then by the time I got around to it, Further Confusion had already ran, and it's like, well, it's too late now to make predictions. But one of the big predictions I've got, and this is kind of the big one, is Anthrocon versus MFF. You know, statistically speaking, if things keep going the way they're going, by 2018, Anthrocon ain't going to be the biggest game in town anymore. Chicago's going to one-up Pittsburgh, and I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be too happy about that. We have the biggest furry convention in the world. Not anymore, you don't. Rosemont does. A suburb of Chicago. It's interesting, and we'll keep you in touch, but I'll write more details in the article and the physical thing. But the funny thing about, you know, the whole funny thing about Fur Affinity interrupting my ability to write about conventions, I felt like a little bit of history repeating herself this week. All right. Let's not pull punches. Fur Affinity went down. All right, it went down. I think the interesting thing about this and the whole irony here is, man, you know, come on. I know the theme was rebellion and stuff like that, and you know, rebellion. You all know those movies about rebellion where the guys get together and they do this crazy thing, this crazy weird thing to avoid, you know, detection and all this other stuff. Yeah, somebody took that theme a little too far this year. Apparently, there was some code going around that wasn't supposed to be going around. Fur Affinity's basically main end code, the site code, basically, its source code, was hacked into it. Somebody got a hold of it because they were able to take advantage of this imager hack thing, which was in early May, and they held on to that thing, dude. Whoever did it, if you find out who spread your little code around, it's like, wow, you held on to it for that long, and then they went, okay, well, instead of doing all this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that I'm going to put it on a physical USB card and then hand it out at Biggest Little Furcon. So Biggest Little Furcon security ended up finding all these little USB thingies going all over the place, and it's like, and they were the ones that ended up letting Fur Affinity know, it's like, hey guys, your source code's a little out there right now, and yeah, you may want to look into that. Well, if they had any reason to upgrade their infrastructure, now they got it. And hopefully it takes them less than a year to do it, less than 6 months. Like, get it done really, really soon, guys. It's only a matter of time before some other jerk finds another exploit. Now, to me, the timing of it indicates to me personally, one of my theories is that the individual who exploited the Fur Affinity code, like right after Biggest Little Furcon, they obviously were the same person that took the code, because to me it's like, I know furry cages are dedicated in their hacksaw skills or whatnot, but even to me, I can read code. It would take me a little more than a 24-hour period to kind of read through an entire code base and then find a way to exploit it and then execute that exploit. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like the person was like, oh man, I got the source code, I got the source code, I got the source code. And then they're like, wait, I'm not going to do anything yet. I'm not going to reveal the hand that I have, because if, say, that person who took the code ended up exploiting the website, and then they would go, well, I'd be found out, and they would know that I had it, and then it would just, go from there. But if I were to say, kind of make a little bit of a fear thing where I'm, exporting those things out and then handing it off to people, it seems a little more viable that might be what they were doing. And still, very scummy, very scummy. Like, I really, really disagree with the whole taking down the website and exploiting code. Even if, it's like, well, and then that's kind of the whole victim blaming thing. It's like, well, he hasn't updated his code in like 10 years. It's like, well, it shouldn't take somebody hacking into something to force somebody to change their code. Though if somebody can, maybe, somebody who's more benevolent doing it might be that, but that's not benevolent. He was deleting stuff, you know what I mean? So they had to basically restore things. So he was being extremely malicious. It wasn't like the whole, what was that, EV thing where he was like, oh, well, there's a bug here, you might want to fix it, and then they ignored it. And then he's like, well, there's a bug here, you may want to fix it because someone could exploit it. And he's like, oh, we'll get to it. And then he finally was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then he just made like these big buggy-eyed, like the avatars, he just blew up the avatars to like super size and was able to hide comments without having actual admin powers to do so. So to me, and then they were like, oh, no, we can't have that. We're going to fix that, and then we're going to ban the guy. He was being a bit gray hattish, I will agree, but he wasn't as black hat as this guy was being, all right? This guy was being pretty darn black hatted. And right now you're getting this holy glare. The hand of God striking down upon me. Glare, glare, son, into the lens. Anyways, it's interesting. It was an interesting event, and as I said, they were taking the thing a little too seriously. It's like, dude, Tom Clancy's telling you to get a life, okay? Okay? It's like, come on, man. Come on. It's a furry site. And here's the thing, though, too, and a lot of people will say, well, you write a lot of articles that are critical of Flavor, and I say, yeah, well, I do, sorry, not Flavor, Fur Affinity. You write a lot of articles that are critical of Fur Affinity, and you kind of do that. It is the largest site. You're going to have a lot of critiques, and it's not even like Anthrocon versus MFF size difference. Like this, the difference between the second largest furry website and the largest furry community website, and the largest one is immense. It's a large gap. Like let's see. according to Alexia standards, like Fur Affinity is within like the top 4,000 websites out there in the U.S. or in the world, actually. Like the top 4,000. Think of that. Of all the web pages in the world, it's in the 4,000 to 5,000 range. That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. I mean, jeez. I mean, can you imagine that? That's like, there's a lot of websites out there. There's millions and millions of websites, and yet that one's like that one's number 4,000 and plus. Crazy. And like the next closest one to it, I think, is Ink Bunny, and Ink Bunny's at around 35,000, 40,000 plus. It's somewhere in the mid thousands, mid 10,000, mid tens of thousands. Like it's pretty. There's a gap that's pretty big, and they kind of stay around there, and they haven't really moved all that much. Interestingly, at Biggest Little Furcon, Furry Network decided to say, hey, we're coming out now. We're coming out of beta at the end of this week, and they're coming out of beta this first week Friday. So it was interesting timing on their part. I'm pretty sure their little integrating device is going to get a lot of use this weekend. And if you're an artist, you really need to put your eggs more in one basket. I wrote an article years ago about how to move your art from one site to the other while trying to keep customers. I have other advice that I plan on probably letting out in a month or so about how to influence, how artists and commissioners can help influence, to help promote their websites, and how to do it without being a jerk about it. You're gonna influence, but you're not gonna be a jerk about it. You know what I mean? It's an idea that I have, and I'm going to present it at that particular time in that article. You're going to hear it here first if you happen to this. It's basically the concept of the idea is that if you're an artist and you want someone to commission you at this website, it's like, if you commission me on this website, then you get a percentage off. Basically, it's like, well, you get 10% off if you request a commission at Furry Network or So Furry, or even Fur Affinity. Hey, it's an open world. You can use it whatever you want. Obviously, it's like, well, because the funny thing was when I wrote that original article, and they're like, well, here's how you can influence people to go to other websites and follow you on other websites as an artist. Somebody of course went, well, this is just an attack on Fur Affinity and blah blah blah. It's like, you can use this method both ways. It's like it's an equal opportunity use. You know what I mean? So if somebody really likes Fur Affinity, I know Flinters really likes Fur Affinity. He really stands by it. It was his way into the fandom. He got a lot of commissions for it. Every time some bit of drama comes up about Fur Affinity, he's like, bugger off. I don't give a hoot. And that's, I stick by your guns. And, if you want to influence people to go to Fur Affinity, go to Ink Bunny, whatever, and use a percentage discount as an artist to do so, then by all means. But on the other side of the coin, it's like, well, we're going to sacrifice money, our money. Yeah, of course. Asking the artist to sacrifice even more money. We don't get paid enough as it is. Yeah, I understand that. So as commissioners, maybe we could go, I really like Ink Bunny, or I like So Furry, or I like Furry Network, Weasel, whatever, Fur Affinity, artist website here. I like that site, so I want to make it so that I'm going to take this, and we're going to put it over here on this segment, and I will give you a bonus. I will give you a tip if you publish my commission to this site. In this site only, maybe. Maybe say, make it exclusive to So Furry, and I will pay you $20 more, or 20% more, or something like that. Incentivize the artists to go where you want them to go. Bring them with you. If you're an artist, you bring them with you. If you're an artist, you have influence. You can do it. If you really want to do it, and I just burped in my face. Whew. Again, I don't know why I'm so gassy on camera, but so in essence, like that's the one thing you do. And now I'm really off topic. I guess it's just a wild, wild Friday this Friday. But no, the biggest takeaway is Biggest Little Furcon. Round of applause to you guys. Keep on trucking, keep on trucking. Hopefully, I don't. Here's the thing. It's like it's just, what do I think? It's like, do I think that this will have a negative impact on the other conventions in the area? I don't think so. I think it has to do a little bit with the fact that, you know, Rainforest kind of got the short end of the stick, and they're not having a convention this year. I think that maybe the desert is fertile land for furries. I don't know. You know, Nevada is very much a tourist trap state, so you know maybe that had part of it to do with it. Maybe part of it has to do, and as a tourist trap state, it has really, really cool stuff like go-karts and arcades and casinos and lots of, you know, things that do well for a visiting party kind of situation, because that's kind of who they cater to. Pittsburgh and Chicago and other places like that, they don't really have the tourist trap kind of things. For better or for worse, because I've heard horror stories about living in areas that are tourist traps, okay? Like, the government treats the visitors better than they treat the people who live there. And if you can imagine, that can get extremely frustrating for people who live in areas such as that, where it's like, man, these tourists, you know, get away with all this crap, and we have to foot their bill for them partying all the time and all this stuff. And it can get very annoying. I've heard, like, as I talked about my one friend in the last video, he came from Las Vegas area, and he's told me the horror stories about his, an issue that happened where a tourist, you know, did something terrible, you know, to someone he knew, and they basically got away with assault because they weren't around by the time that the cops got around to doing things. They were already gone. You know what I mean? So it really sucks. And you know, if Pittsburgh is trying to pull in more furries, please don't make it a tourist trap. Please don't make the city worse for the people who live there on a daily basis. Because I'd rather have okay. You know, I'd rather have a good convention and have the city people who live there, you know, be happy and not have to worry about like, oh man, the furries are in town. Man, all of our economy seems to revolve around this stupid little convention of theirs. I don't want that kind of animosity being felt by the citizens of Pittsburgh. So try not to make our thing a tourist trap, even though it might be tempting if, you know, if Chicago's thing starts tripping on you, man. It's like, oh man, we got to really start pushing more hotels and pushing more things, and you know, don't sacrifice other things just for the sake of holding on to the largest furry con. Because to me, it's not worth it. And judging by, you know, whispers and things like that, it would not be a great investment to go full hog. Maybe a little bit of hog, but not like, don't like double a hotel space, because, you know, you let it grow a little bit. But yeah, just, you know, do a little bit, fine, and you'll be okay. So, that being said, we got me getting off topic again, but I don't think further confusion is going to get into real trouble here. I think it'll be fine because it's in a different time. Like, it's in fact, like, the thing is, like, the spring, like, its timing in May is great because I don't think there's any other conventions around that really have that time frame. You know, it's not really a threat to further confusion because further confusion is, you know, in winter. This one's in spring. You know, I don't think it's going to start siphoning away from that. Now, did Biggest Little Furcon siphon away from some of the East Coast conventions? Absolutely. I know a handful of people in the West Coast who are like, man, I love Biggest Little Furcon. And what they did is they're like, you know, this is going to be my spring summer con, and I'm not going to Anthrocon anymore. So basically, you know, it is pulling a little bit away from other conventions that are further away, but not quite towards the air. I don't think it's pulling away from anything on the West Coast currently. But words are only words, and time will tell all. So, Biggest Little Furcon, I think it's going to continue to grow, further confusion. It's stagnating right now. It really, further confusion actually has stagnated because it's like it lost 9 attendees last year, it gained 39, and it's basically flatlining at this point. And it sounded like they wanted to expand, but it's like, how are they going to expand, really? Hopefully they don't expand too much, or maybe I'm mistaken, and maybe I don't understand this, but maybe they don't have enough hotel space or something like that, so they do need to expand in order to get more attendance, and right now it's getting too overcrowded. Hopefully that's the case, because if they're expanding thinking that they're growing, they're not really growing, they're kind of flatlining, which is, I haven't really seen at a convention before, so I can't really predict, if that's a good thing, if that's a bad thing, if it's just a thing. But statistics and stuff like that will be thrown up on that article this weekend. I plan on trying to get that done. But I think that's about it. I think I covered everything, and probably a little above and beyond everything that I should have particularly covered this week. More I was born on Ramblin' Roo. I will ramble all the day long. But thank you for joining me on this Fursuit Friday for this quickish video about about conventions and about furry websites and a little bit of everything else like that. Hopefully I'll have a more concise topic for us to talk about next week, or you can provide your own topics for me to talk about using hashtag Rooview this. And I'll take a look at it, see, and hopefully I remind myself to look for those kind of hashtags if you want to use those kind of hashtags. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great Fursuit Friday, great rest of your week, and I'll see you again here next week, hopefully. You never know. You never know. Thank you very much for watching.